Okay, YouTubers, my fellow Del Sol owners, I'm back. This is with an update on the right-hand drive conversion. Right now, I am taking the sound deadening out. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a place where I can get some dry ice because I heard dry ice really works out really good as it just chips away this sound deadening here. So I just end up using a grinding wheel to take it off. It makes them more of a mess, but it's not a big deal. I didn't have time and I had the tools to do it versus going and paying $45 for some dry ice when I don't need to take all of it out, because all this is going to be trash. I mean, I just need kind of from the firewall out, and I'll show you what I mean. Versus this side, this is about the line where I need to take off and up of the sound deadening. And as you can see on this side, I already have. So this line right here, these spot welds that you see, the little circles, those are the ones that are going to be drilled out and separated. So just alone right here, I probably have one here. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and there's probably 10. So I mean, all the way around, and then there's some more right here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 there, and then you have some that run along here, that run along this edge here. You can see the little circles on up and around. But that's pretty much where we're at right now. Just taking the sound deadening off so I can then start to drill out these spot welds. And I'll update you guys as I go along. The more spot welds I have, or when I get done drilling them all, they'll have a line. You'll be able to see all the holes drilled out, so you'll know exactly where. But let me get back to getting this sound deadening out, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so this is the side of the driver's side clip. I just wanted to show you guys these holes, these spot welds here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Maybe that's 11 right there, but you can see them up close. The actual spot welds, those circles, those are the ones that have to be drilled out. The tool that I'm using is this tool here. You can just focus. This tool here. So it just kind of opens up the hole as you drill in more and more. They do have spot weld drill bits, but I tend to go through those a lot faster than these. I can probably go through half the firewall, if not the whole firewall, with one of these versus the spot weld drill bits. They just get eaten up. But if you do want to see what the spot weld drill bit looks like, this is it right here. Although I did buy 4 or 5. This is it. What it is there's a cutter on both sides. So as you go through the spot weld and go through the metal, when you go to pull the bit back out, it doesn't get caught up on the hole or anything, because it drills the hole perfectly to the size of this bit. So it has the cutters on both sides, if you can see that there. Let me take it out so you can see better. So yeah, so this is it. So you see it has the cutout, so then when you go through it, when you can bring it out, and it's cutting on the way in and on the way out, just so you can make sure you get your bit out and it doesn't get stuck inside the hole. So this is a specific spot weld drill bit. It does have a center point to try to catch. Like I said, I'm going to be using this tool over here. It's better for me. This is with the experience I've done with these. This works out better. But I will be right back after I drill a few spot welds. Okay, people, I'm back. So this is just a little update. Remember earlier I told you about those spot welds? They're all drilled out there. And then, as you can see, the area here and up there, all those holes, as well as these holes here, and then these holes here all the way down. Then you got a couple here, 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 and then some along the side here. Like I said, along with those. And then of course you have these here. Then a couple here, and then they wrap around, which at this point, these welds just got to be cut. They're not spot welds, they're just tacked welds. So I got to cut those. Then you have these here. Then of course the same thing on this side. Got them here, all the way up, then in, right there. Then across here and around, same thing up that way and that way. Then of course you have these here, and then these along this side, and then of course the ones all the way across, and same thing on this side. Those got to be, those tack welds got to get cut out. It's a lot of holes. I would say anywhere between 50 and 75 and 100, and same thing on this side. This is the fender well, showing you that area where the holes get drilled out there on the outside. And then here along the firewall itself, same thing on this side along the firewall. So that's just a separation point. As you can see, this is a separation point for the firewall. That's the separation point. So it's all gonna split. It's all gonna split right here. And same thing on this side. It's all gonna split. And excuse me for the motion of the camera. I'm just holding it in my hand. I've been drilling out spot welds for part of the day, so my hand is kind of shaky from putting so much pressure on a drill, a spinning drill. But like I said, it's in between 75 and 100, maybe even more than that, I'd say. But that's the progress so far. Then once I start, then I'll start separating it. Of course, I'm just showing you that I'm moving it with a flathead screwdriver. But I am going to get a wedge so I can then go on and bust them apart, and then that will be it. And then what will happen up here is I'll measure somewhere around here. I'll measure, and I'll just make a cut, and I'll make sure I have the measurements, and I'll come down and I'll make a cut, and then it'll just be lined up right there, and then that'll be it. So I mean, it's a good little job. I won't say little if you don't know what you're doing, but because I've done these before, this is what it takes. But it's cool when you see the firewall separated, and then you just end up doing the same process once you start working in the actual car. So that's pretty much it, people, for the spot welds. Once I start breaking it apart, I may notice that one of the holes or something like that, I didn't go through all the way because there's still a piece of metal that's connected through the hole. So I may have to go back in and drill it out a little bit more. But I think I drilled them out pretty nice size this time around. So I didn't have to worry about going back and forth. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But I'm gonna start separating this, and then I'll start making my cuts at some point. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow, I'm not sure. I just wanted to at least make sure I got the spot welds drilled out. But again, this is pretty much the process. There's already a lot of holes inside the firewall, so it's kind of hard to tell which is which. I mean, for the most part, you can see as I pointed them out. You just have to know which spot welds to drill out, and you just have to follow where the firewall detaches itself from the other side of the engine bay. So from there, because otherwise you'll just be drilling out spot welds. Like these spot welds here, 1, 2, 3, they have nothing to do with the firewall, so you have to make sure that you have the right holes drilled out. So until my next update video, that's it for now. Let me go on and start separating this, and I will get right back to you. All right. Okay, so I'm back. Just to update of where I'm at right now. It's pretty much just to kind of show you before I move on to the next point, where all the spot welds are again. just so you know. They can vary from civic to civic, but again, you have all these here. They're all here, and they go to about there. Then you have all these here, and then you have all these here. Then what ends up happening is I just do a little cut right here, because this breaks apart from the side that I told you, the side one, the side spot welds. So then you can take a wedge and break this apart. The seam sealer is what keeps it together. Then so I try to use a grinding wheel to get rid of the seam sealer. Then when you get like to these corners, it may be hard to get it exactly out. So I just do another slice cut right here. And of course I'm gonna do this the same way in the car, so it'll kind of match up. And I'll be able to weld up this corner, and I'll be able to weld up this corner up here. But as far as the firewall goes here, you want to try to cut it out as in the areas as with as much material as possible. So you're not cutting too much into your car. But you see all the spot welds here. You can kind of tell the ones that are drilled out. Obviously, they're really big holes. Then you have them all right here. These here are the ones that of course connect to the subframe. And then these here as well. Then, like I said, once you get to this part, there's a few tack welds that you have to cut out. Then of course you got a few spot welds here, and pretty much the same thing on the other side, with the exception of a few more holes you have to drill around the steering wheel slot there. There's some holes that you got to drill around it, and make sure that you don't drill out the spot welds above this piece here. Do not drill out above it, it's below it, because you want it to be included with the firewall. If you take out these spot welds, I mean, nothing will probably happen. You'll just have to weld them back up, but you'll see that it won't separate from the wall, obviously. So just make sure that when you're doing these spot welds, once you get to where the steering wheel shaft comes through, that it's the spot welds that are under it. There's a lot of spot welds that can be on this firewall, so it can get kind of confusing. But again, once you get to this corner, again, I took a cut there and a cut down there, and I pretty much got down to this corner. Now, as far as the top goes, I made a slice right up against the wall. That's generally where I make my cut at. There's no easy way to separate it there besides a cut on the side right here. I just make a cut right there, and same thing on this side. Made another cut right here. Ideally, this thing will line up because you're gonna line it up with the holes that you cut out in your car. So, for instance, this spot weld right here, this hole here, and a few other holes here, once they match up, and these spot welds here, once everything starts to match up, that's where you're gonna do your weld. When all these holes match up together with each other, that's how you'll know. So I'm not concerned about the side here. As far as material goes, I will just weld up whatever gap there is. And as you know how metal is, one little spot weld or a half a spot weld will keep this firewall in place. So putting a big weld spot up to close a gap, and not that it's going to be that much of a gap. By the time I weld all these spot welds back up, which is about 100 of them, this firewall is not going nowhere. I don't care what you do. Anybody that knows metal, when you weld, and if you don't drill a weld out all the way, a spot weld at least, it's not going nowhere. You can pound at it for days in a sense. So when you're talking about 100 spot welds, I'm not concerned about filling a gap in the corners there. But I just kind of wanted to show you guys what actually the part of the firewall is before I pull it out, and that's what I'm going to do right now, just to show you. And let me go on this side so you can see this side. Again, this side, all these spot welds, and then here you have it there. It's already loose. After I did my last spot weld and I broke the last part of the seam sealer, it's pretty much ready to come out. It should be. So Let me get the camera set up so you guys can see it. All right, let's see if this thing comes out. And make sure you have a good pair of gloves on when you're working with metal, especially the sharp edges. You don't want to cut yourself when you're doing this, and you're dealing with a lot of metal. So just always be careful. I prefer like the thicker gloves. I mean, I have these here, and they're more or less if you slip and you don't bang your hand up against some sharp metal and cut yourself. So any gloves will do fine, but the thicker the better. Like I said, as you're cutting metal and dealing with metal, there's a lot of sharp edges. So just beware when you're doing a project like this. But yeah, let's get to it. I think I got all the spot welds out. It's really loose now, so I hope and I don't think anything is hanging on. So let's check it out. Okay, and there you have it. As you can see, it is completely out now. Just so you can get a view of what it looks like once you pull it apart. Again, this is my cut on the side. And like I said, you just do one slice cut here, and it's kind of as close as you can, and then under it's one nice, like there's a line that runs across under here, and you'll see what I'm talking about where I cut. There's a line. If you follow it, I just cut that line all the way straight through and just made sure I connected on the bottom side on the other end. But this is where all your spot welds were at. Of course, this is the inside. And again on this side. So, one thing about the Del Sol, I don't remember on my EG hatch when I did it. This right here is the get a better angle. This right here is the bracket for the last screw for your windshield wiper mechanism. This piece, since I was able to cut right here, I didn't want to cut this piece out. So what I ended up doing is I just cut around it and just left it there. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to take a reference picture of where it's at, and when I go to, before I go and when I cut out my firewall from my car, what I'm gonna do is I am going to weld this piece in just as you see it at this position. So when I cut the clip out, cut the firewall, I keep saying clip, sorry. When I cut the firewall out of my car, I'm then going to weld this piece back in, and then it'll be my corner. I think it's 3 or 4 other bolts that are still within the firewall. So I don't think it would make a big deal, but I wanted to have it straightened as far as bolting it down at every corner possible. So I'm gonna have to drill out these spot welds. I think there's 1 and 2. And then these are the reference points. They're little bumps, so I'll know. And they should be on my car as well. Like I said, they made kind of one chassis, but they just put a different firewall. So I may have those reference bumps that are right there, those little metal nipples or whatever it is as part of the body, to gauge where I need to weld it. And I think that's why they had it here. When they did the spot weld, they used those as the gauge to where you want to have it sat at. So this is again, this is pretty much it. Now this is trash for the most part. I hold on to it just in case I need to reference while I'm doing mine where things were cut out at, things of that nature. There were some side brackets that I had along here. There's a rusty steering bar that kind of is inside the dash that connects to the steering column. There was a bracket that was right here that I had to drill out that I showed you in a previous video. Then the 2 holes right here were my hood latch, so I drilled those out as well. Again, take reference pics. I'll be able to match it up, especially from this piece of molding right here. I'll be able to match it up exactly where I need to put that on my car, so I'll have my hood latch on the other side. Besides that, that is pretty much it. In all honesty, I think on my car, I think one of these ended up stripping out because the screw just spins, but it doesn't tighten down. So I think what I did is I was using a drill when I was screwing this bolt in. When I normally do them by hand, I did this one. It was one of these 2, and I was doing it with a drill, and I think I cross-threaded it. So then I think it just ate up the thread. So what I'm going to end up doing is I am going to drill out. Once I pull up out my firewall, I'm going to drill out the spot welds for this. As you see, hopefully it's this one. I hope it's this one, because then I can just drill out the spot welds for it and call it a day. And then I can tack it back up inside my car, and then I'll have a fresh set of threads that I can go off of. But and of course, if it's this one, then it just kind of seems like it's part of the body. But no, I'm okay. It's just a lot worse. There's all these spot welds that I would have to dig out, which I really don't want to do. So I very well may just cut this out and cut it out, and then just weld it into my body, because I don't this one I don't mind doing, but I think I'll cut this one out if that one's one it is. But these here are the cross member mounting locations. That's 4 of them. You got like 8 bolts that are under the cross member when you take it out. These are the 4 that actually mount to the actual frame of the car. So that's pretty much it. And then we get to my tools. We get to the subframe itself. So you can see it again. This is what it looks like as you pull it out. It won't come out perfect in the sense of the spot welds, taking them all out. There's some areas where you are just gonna have to cut. Like this corner is what I was talking about. I had to take a cut here just because I was tired of dealing with that corner, trying to pull the metal. Maybe there was a spot weld or so that was in a corner somewhere, and it makes it very difficult at certain angles, and depending on how big or how small your drill is, to determine if you're going to be able to get a drill bit in a corner to be able to get it to weld out. So to me, I just cut it and I end up welding. I mean, I'll cut it out of my car the same way, and then I'll just again weld up whatever gaps is there. And you'll see as I go along and do it, but I'm doing it the 100% correct way, to where you will not have any leaks whatsoever. Once I weld up the spot welds, I am gonna fill every area with seam sealer, just so there's no issues or concerns. But I think that's about it. And another note, when you go to cut this on this side where this hole is, do not, and I repeat, do not cut within this hole. If you cut within this hole, water will then just come from this area, or any water that falls inside here, inside there, water will just start falling into your car. So if there's anything that I want to tell you, when you go to cut this side, which is your driver's side of your US car, cut along this line here to where you still have that lip, that edge. You still have this lip here. I'm sorry for the movement of the camera. I'm just holding it in my hand. But I just want to make it aware that when you cut this, when you see this angle from under the car, make sure that you cut it about a 1/2 inch that way. Just make sure you're cutting outside that. Otherwise, you're screwed and water is just going to fall into the car. So that's what this lip is. This edge is keeping water from falling inside the car. Water doesn't build up that much anyway, so that's why it's only about 1 inch high, that lip. But yeah, this is it. So this will put the steering column, everything on the right side. This is pretty much everything when I tell you in terms of making the car right-hand drive. Like I said, it's not as simple as I put it, just like that, but this is pretty much it. And I do apologize if I wasn't able to get a lot of video of drilling out the spot welds. I mean, I showed you the bit that you use. Again, you have the video of the reference of all the spot welds that had to come out. And again, I'll pass by it one more time so you can see where all the spot welds are that needed to come out, because obviously you see it out, so you would know the spot welds that I did drill out were the correct ones. And all you have to do, like I said, from the inside, I mean, let's just start. Like I said, you see all the spot welds there. See them on this side. See them all along the floorboard. Don't get it confused and think that it's this one, because there's spot welds on this one. This is not it. You'll be just drilling out and it's not, and it's part of the wall. So there's another ledge that actually connected to the body. It's these holes here that you have to drill out. Just always remember that. But all the spot welds you see here, again, there was some here. I just took a cut. When I got to this area, I just cut it. I cut it because it was like too difficult. At that point, I did drill out the spot welds, but I just did a nice slice cut, so that part's fine. Then you have this side. With all the spot welds. And then of course, those are the side ones. The side ones that were there. And just as easy as I took it out, that's how easy it'll go in. Maybe a little harder going in because I'll have to kind of chip away and cut at certain corners to make sure it goes in there right. But once it's in there, I'll bang all the metal back up against where it needs to be welded. And that will pretty much be it. But that tab I was telling you about over on the clip, like I said, it's part of my my windshield wiper motor where I'm gonna mount it. There's 2 mounts there. There's a mount there, and then that little tab was like right here. So like I said, it'd probably be fine mounting it there, but I'd want the strengthness of that one mounted as well. So I'm just gonna drill it out and then weld it to the car once I take the firewall out of it. So that's pretty much it, people. I'm tired, and I need to get something to eat. I just kind of get going and I forget about eating and drinking fluids, so I just want to go in and get it done for that matter. But if you have any questions, any concerns, or anything about doing right-hand drive conversions. For the most part, on the Civics, they're pretty much the same. When you get to the Integra, like it's similar as well. I did do an Integra DC. They are similar as well. It's just all a matter of your brake setup and things of that. Like you might have to do an ABS delete and just run your brakes straight, because more than likely the clip that you'll get probably won't have a ABS brakes on it, so it'll probably just have regular brakes. So you'll probably have to delete your ABS. So that's where it gets a little more involved when you have ABS and things of that nature. Really just with ABS. Outside of that is just regular brakes. So that is pretty much it. And then of course, like I said, here's my cross member. My cross member here. And these are two areas where those bolts come through at. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And again, just so you know, you want to keep your brake booster. I keep my fuse box. You want to keep your brake booster. You want to keep your clutch mash. Your clutch reservoir with the lines as well. But you can see in my previous videos exactly what I had told you to save. I try not to throw anything away until I'm done with the conversion itself. But this thing here is going to pretty much be trash. I don't think I need anything else from it. But I'll keep it for a little bit. But that is it for now, people. Until my next video update, it would be to start taking apart the car, and then you'll see from there. But it's no different than this here. So I will talk to you people later. Peace out. Oh, and just a quick update. I was trying to figure out, I know I had one of these that was stripped out. I was unsure which side it was. But I went to my car to actually check the bolt, and I found out that it was this one. So as I talked about earlier, I'm glad it wasn't this one, because it's a lot more involved. And a lot more different angles of spot welds to drill out for this one. So I was able to just go ahead and drill this one out. So if you have stripped your cross member bolt, this is what it looks like. I was able to drill it out. So what I'll do is, assuming I'll be able to get the bolt out, I know I will. I will then drill out the one from my car, since it's part of the body. And then I will go ahead and put this in, and now I have one with fresh threads ready to go. So like I said, this was just an update after finding out which one it is, and it was the easier bracket out of the two, on each side, of course. So until my next vlog, I guess I will talk to you guys later, but just stay tuned, because it's gonna get deep in terms of the build for this car. Alrighty, peace.